Men's and women's basketball both continue to struggle to kick off the season and are still looking for their first wins on the air. Hello, I'm Tegan Lamont.
And I'm Dana Bacora. Despite that struggle, we are still going to continue to talk about them for the entirety of the show. You're watching LaSalle TV's home for Explore Athletics, SportsLine.
Welcome to SportsLine. Today we have a very special interview where LaSalle TV staple David P. Roberts sits down with men's basketball's Shaggy Dees and Tracy Carter.
And later, Explorer Report OG Josh Abrams hits the desk to continue the discussion of men's basketball.
But first, let's take a look at our SportsLine top 3.
Number 1. While the rest of the LaSalle community has been sitting down for Thanksgiving dinner, freshman runner-up Ibrahim Kadir was qualifying to the Canadian Junior National Team. The Toronto native finished 4th in the 8K, clocking in with a time of 24 minutes and 58 seconds. Kadir had a breakout rookie season. He was the top finisher for LaSalle in 3 different races and earned the award for Outstanding Rookie Performer for his 4th place finish at the A10 Championships. Kadir is now set to represent Team Canada at the World Championships in March.
Number 2, junior Grace Mancini racked up the awards on her way to competing in the NCAA Championships. She earned all-region honors with a 2nd place finish in the Mid-Atlantic Regional and was an all-conference performer with a 6th place showing at the Atlantic 10 Championships. Earlier this year, Mancini also competed in the NCAA steeplechase. For more on her most recent performance, stick around for recaps.
Number 3. Ashley Howard announced on November 19th that 2 talented high school athletes signed national letters of intent to play for the men's basketball team next year. Christian Ray is a guard from the Haverford School that averaged 18.9 points per game and 10.2 rebounds per game as a junior. He has tallied over 1,700 points over the course of his high school career and helped his team win its first league title since 1999. Brandon Stone of the Christ School in North Carolina also signed a letter of intent. He averaged 16 points per game and 11 rebounds per game and helped his team advance to the state semifinals. Howard shared that he is excited for both of these recruits and believes that they both can make an immediate impact on the program.
Well, that does it for our headlines. Now let's see how the Explorers fared this week. Volleyball took down Duquesne in the quarterfinal round of the A10 Championships. It was a back-and-forth battle in the first set until Duquesne took control and won 25-17. LaSalle turned things around in the next 3 sets. They won 25-21 in the second, and in the third, Madison Kutch put up 3 straight kills to pick up another win. And with the score tied at 23 apiece in the last set, Elizabeth Osborne came through with a kill and an ace to secure a 28-26 win. LaSalle then took on Dayton in the Atlantic 10 semifinals, but fell short. The first 2 sets were close, but the Flyers won both. The Explorers rallied against Dayton and picked up a win in the 3rd set. After falling behind in the 4th set, LaSalle got back in the game, but the Flyers held them off to win the match. The Explorers went 18-12 this season, marking the best finish for the team since 1991.
On Saturday, junior Grace Mancini competed against the best runners in the nation at the NCAA Cross Country Championships. Mancini was the lone runner representing the blue and gold at the competition. She clocked in with a time of 21 minutes, 23.2 seconds for the 6K run and finished 138th place out of the 253 finishers, closing out LaSalle's cross-country season on a high note.
Men's basketball battled Drexel on November 17th. Isaiah Clark has the coverage.
On November 17th, men's basketball took on Drexel. The first half was a tightly contested matchup as the lead went back and forth between the 2 teams. It wasn't until the final minutes of the half where Drexel was able to pull away with an 8-2 run, bringing the score to 35-29 at half. Both teams put in a scoring clinic in the second half, combining for 109 points and 53% from the floor. But despite the efficient scoring from LaSalle, They also sent Drexel to the line 16 times. With the help of free throws, Drexel maintained control the entire half. And through the performance of Alihan Demir, who scored 14 points and went 4 of 5 from the line in the final minutes, stopped any hopes of a LaSalle comeback. The final score of the game was Drexel 89, LaSalle 84. Grad student Pookie Powell scored 21 points while freshman Ed Croswell pulled down 9 boards. The loss brings LaSalle's record to a disappointing 0-4 on the season. For SportsLine, I'm Isaiah Clark.
The Explorers looked to bounce back from their loss against the Dragons with a trip to Fullerton, California for the Wooden Legacy Tournament. Unfortunately, they were thrashed in all 3 games. They dropped the first game to Miami 85-49. Freshman Jared Kimbrough was the team's leading scorer with just 10 points. They faced Northwestern in the next game, and LaSalle competed much more in this matchup. The offense ran efficiently, but the Explorers were unable to convert on many of their open shot opportunities. The Blue and Gold lost the game 91-74 and were led by Pookie Powell, who had 23 points and went 12 of 14 from the line. The final game of the tournament was against Grand Canyon, and they fell 82-70. The Explorers' shortcomings were primarily offensive, as they shot under 35% in both the Miami and Grand Canyon games.
The women's basketball team traveled to Maryland to take on Towson on November 17th. The Explorers kept it even in the first quarter and only trailed by 1 at the end of the 10-minute period. Towson went ahead in the latter quarters and went on to win 92-68. Sophomore Deja King led the team in points with 15, while Michelle Nichols and Kayla Spruill each had 11. The team then took on Big Five rival Villanova. The Wildcats led 40-35 at the end of the first half. The Explorers tried to get back in it in the second half, but just couldn't get the job done. Shalina Miller recorded a season high of 52 points, while Jaren Reese scored 10 and led the team in rebounds with 8. The Blue and Gold would then travel back home to face Drexel. Steven Silvestro has the coverage.
On Wednesday, November 28th, the LaSalle women's basketball team hosted city rival Drexel. The Explorers started slow, not scoring until 6 minutes into the game. The Dragons flied high as they controlled the first quarter, 18-9. The Explorers would bounce back, scoring 14 points in the second quarter, including 4 of senior Jaren Reese's team-leading 7 points. Both teams came out of the locker room with strong defenses shutting down both offenses. Drexel would hold a 10-point lead going into the fourth quarter. It was too little too late for LaSalle as the offense would finally turn it on in the fourth quarter, but Drexel would match all of it and then some. Drexel would win the game 58-43. Here is Coach McGillivray after the game.
And took things away. You know, scoring's still a challenge for us. But what I was really pleased with is that Drexel, who plays mostly man-to-man defense all season long, had to go to zone to guard us. That means we're doing better things.
This brings the women's basketball record to 0-6 on the season. For SportsLine, I'm Steven Silvestro.
I'm so depressed.
Men's swimming and diving took part in the 3-day Bucknell Invitational from November 16th to 18th. Junior Blake Griffith helped get things started for the Explorers as he was victorious in the 3-meter diving competition. Griffith scored 295 points, and LaSalle took second place for the day out of the total 7 teams competing in the Invitational. On the second day, the team remained in second place through 27 events. Freshman Steven Stasola came in first place for the 1-meter dive, and Norm Gregory placed in third for the men's 100 fly. On the final day of the Invitational, the Explorers slipped to fourth place overall. Junior Marcus Forsgren had a gold medal performance in the 100 freestyle, narrowly edging the next competitor by 0.02 of a second.
The women's swimming and diving team also competed in the Bucknell Invitational and concluded with a 6th place overall finish. There were a few notable performances by the Explorers. Junior Carrie Horan competed in the 200 breaststroke event, earning a 4th place finish. Not far behind was fellow junior Colin Kessinger in 5th place. Over on the diving board, freshman Phoebe Shia earned a 4th place finish in the 3-meter dive.
The men's water polo team suffered a trio of losses at the MAWPC Championships. The Explorers started off the weekend falling to top-seeded Bucknell. After tying the game at 1 goal apiece, at the 3-minute mark, LaSalle led up an 11-0 run and were unable to come back, falling 21-6. In their first consolation game, the Blue and Gold fell to 5th-seeded Navy 14-10. The Explorers went into the fourth quarter down only 1 goal, but the midshipmen pulled away in the final period as they scored 4 of the final 5 goals of the match. In their final game of the season, LaSalle fell to McKendree, who took a 5-0 lead early on, and the Explorers were not able to recover, eventually falling 15-7.
Well, that's all we've got for recaps this week, but stay tuned because when we come back, SportsLine correspondent David P. Roberts sits down with LaSalle basketball players Tracy Carter and Isaiah Dees. Stay tuned.
Soccer team likes your eyeliner like that too. Is that right?
Welcome back. Check out this interview with basketball players Tracy Carter and Isaiah Dees.
Hi, I'm David Roberts on the sidelines here with 2 of LaSalle's basketball players on the men's team, Tracy Carter and Isaiah Shaggy Dees. Guys, how's it going? I'm just going to get into it. The first big storyline coming into the season, you know, last year we heard Coach G got fired, looking for a new coach. We get Ashley Howard from Villanova. What was the first reaction you had for hearing about the news with G leaving, Howard coming through, being the new coach?
Personally for me, it was like a bittersweet because I was sad to see Coach G go, but I also was excited to see Coach Ash come because I knew Coach Ash for a while. He recruited me when he was at Villanova, and I knew him through family ties like Donnie Carr, and they've been real close ever since they were young. So.
I think the big thing for me was, you know, I've been with G for 3 years, and he kind of introduced me to the whole college world.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was kind of tough for him to take that type of exit. But then at the same time, when you got somebody like Ashley Howard coming in, and, you know, with the resume he had and the things he's done within the last recent years, so it was a gift and a curse almost, you know. So.
What are some differences you've seen so far, just like in practices and in games, between Coach G and Coach Ash, and like, I don't know, just how it's changed you as a player at least, or, you know, along those lines?
I think the biggest difference, because, you know, Tracy, he wasn't there as long as I was with G.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest difference was just different approaches, different styles, you know. Obviously it's different language because, you know, different coaches in itself, but, you know, they still promote the same, you know, same ideas, same core values, just in a different way, you know.
Yeah.
Just work hard, pay attention to the details, and, you know, just be a better person on and off the court.
Yeah, I think that just to piggyback off what Isaiah said, just different styles of play is the biggest difference.
Now, Tracy, I know that you're a transfer and you couldn't play last season. And this year you're finally getting some action, you're finally getting some playing time. How does it feel to, like, you know, have some time off and, you know, at least like getting back to it and getting that rhythm of like where you used to be and just like continuing to improve yourself?
Great question, Dave. You know, it's good, but at the same time, it's tough because, like you said, took some time off because I transferred. So just trying to get back in the swing of things, it can be not easy at times, you know. So what I try to do is just understand that and just be patient with myself and try to keep improving in every aspect I can.
Now, Shag, I know you've been here for 3 years, like you said. I actually remember my sophomore year, the first game was Temple, and the first thing, like, all the rumors come around, like, oh, the 2 freshmen are starting. You got Shag and Salle starting. We had known G for, like, the year that like he never started freshman, we were like sitting there thinking like he's starting these guys. So what has changed over time that you've been at LaSalle at least? What have you learned like from playing either like on and off the court? Like how are you different from freshman year Shaggy to junior year Shaggy?
Personally, I think the biggest difference is just my maturity is different. I kind of understand situations a lot better because, you know, I think there's everybody, you know, just being a freshman, you kind of just enjoy things.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, at certain times you can't really enjoy things, if that makes sense. You got to just, you know, be serious to a certain extent. And, you know, so that I remember that first game like it was yesterday, man. I was so nervous. I was just like, man, I don't think I'm ready for this. But, you know, after the first shot went in, I kind of just settled down. I was like, okay, so I'm actually here now. So, but, you know, the biggest difference for me, I think I understand, you know, what it takes to be a man on and off the court. It takes a lot of focus, a lot of mental toughness, but I think that's the biggest difference for me.
All right, so I know you guys are in the season now. Things are starting to flow a little bit. What are some personal goals that you have for the season? Just like either like day to day, weekly, even in like when January comes around, like all those A-10 games come around. What do you guys see yourself or like where you want to be at by the time that comes up?
Well, for me, I think I just want to be the best leader I can be for my team. So in whatever aspect they need me, I just want to be there for them guys.
Personally, for me, you know, a lot of people always tell me like, you know, become a leader, but you know, it's always different type of leaders. You know, I look at a guy like Tracy. You know, he's the more vocal leader. He kind of tells everybody, you know, the right thing to do in all type of situations. But I think I want to be the action type of leader, like, you know, just follow my lead. So,
lead by example.
Yeah, I think that's one of my personal goals.
I think that's really important because you can actually see it because I've been to a couple of games. You can see Tracy in the huddle, like talking to the teammates, and you can see when Shaq goes out there that his play motivates a lot of other players out there. I know this is all, you know, we got serious, got personal. I have some fun questions because, you know, why not? Shag, we know that you have your nickname is Shaggy. Your real name is Isaiah.
Right.
Can you tell the people, you know, how you got the nickname? Like why even present yourself as Shaggy and not Isaiah?
You know, people always ask me this question. I always tell them it's a long story, so I don't really get into it. But I think it started maybe around 4th or 5th grade. That's when I started to get into basketball, and I was always the chubby kid. I wasn't this tall, wasn't this slender. I was, you know, the little chubby kid playing ball. And I love snacks. Yeah, Schlebby. I love snacks. I was always stuff in my face. So it was one day we finished the game, and we all in the car, a couple of my friends, a couple of parents, and we just talking like, yo, we should get nicknames because people use their real name on court. They're not that good. Yeah. So they got to me. I'm just back there eating, not paying no mind. They was like, look at him, always eating. You know, ain't he the scariest one here? So it started off as Crumbs. But people was like, nah, we can't use Crumbs on court. But then they was like, who's scary and eat a lot? So they was like, oh, Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. So everybody started laughing. It started more like as a joke, like kind of teasing me. But then after a while, I kind of just grew into it. Just owned it, dropped the Y, and then just went from there, you know?
Shaggy.
Yeah.
I told you before, because I don't think I've ever called you Isaiah before today. Like,
it's to the point where, like, you know, I'm walking and I hear Isaiah and won't even respond until about the 3rd or 4th, 5th time. I almost forgot it's my name. You know, but
I was telling Dave backstage before we started that when you introduce yourself, you don't even say Isaiah, you say Shag.
I think that's actually like when I met you. It was like, all right, this is Shaggy. I'm like, oh, okay, his name's Shaggy. And someone was like, oh, you know who Isaiah is? So I was like, who are you talking about? Like, is there a new person on the team? Like, it was weird. It's funny too, because actually every time I see you, I say TC, because I don't even say Tracy. I say Tracy sometimes, but like everyone's just saying it, but I just call you TC. And it's funny because we have Teresa Courts, but we call it TC. So when a lot of people talk, it's like, oh, like I was with TC, or like I was at TC. I was like, were you with like Tracy? Like who are you like? So do you just like, are you just accustomed to that now that like?
No, it's crazy that you say that, because like when I first got here. Guys like Amar Stoops, they used to be saying like, yeah, they live in TC. And I used to be like, is he talking about me? So like, I wouldn't say nothing, so I figured out from obviously context clues that he wasn't talking about me, so I just let it go. Let it go.
So I mean, you guys, I know you guys personally, I know you guys are really funny people. And I know that there's a lot of funny guys on the team. So what's been the funniest moment, at least in practice, that you guys can talk about that you know that just remember so far, or at least so far this season?
That's tough. That's like I was asking, what's your favorite episode of your favorite TV
Yeah.
show? Funniest moment. I'm not gonna lie, that's hard to do. It's just every day is just something
Something new, yeah.
Because everybody got their own personality,
Yeah,
got their own
yeah.
thing. So
Yeah.
you could do that, or something that happened in practice or in the game that you'll talk about later. So that's a tough question. I'm not even gonna lie.
I know there's a lot of like we always talk about when we talk about basketball, we talk about like top 5. Like who's your favorite player? I want to know if you had the chance to play against any player that, like ever one-on-one, who would you want to like match up against and be like, I can take you right now, 21 game.
For me, it would have to be the Detroit Pistons, Isaiah Thomas.
Oh, that's a great, because he's just a legend in himself, and
Yeah.
that's great.
For me, it'd probably be Penny Hardaway.
That's also, those are 2 legends that I think
that'd be a good
it would be a
matchup.
great matchup to watch. I'd like to thank you guys for coming on, talking to me. It's a great conversation.
Thanks for
I wish you
having
the
us,
best in the rest of the season.
Appreciate that.
I'll be out there
Appreciate that.
supporting y'all, of course. So I'm gonna take it back to the desk and. Yeah.
Thank you, Dave, for a great interview. It was so great having Tracy and Shaggy. We hope that they have a better rest of the season. But when we come back, Josh Abrams hits the desk, and we're just going to continue to talk about men's basketball, because why not?
Yep.
Stay tuned.
Yo, bro, what's good?
What's going on?
How you feeling, man?
Doing good. How you doing?
When'd you start smoking?
Smoking? It's a jewel, bro.
It's a jewel?
Yeah.
Listen, you might as well be smoking cigarettes. When you start juuling or vaping, you're 4 times more likely to start smoking cigarettes.
Is that true?
That's very true. Give me the jewel. You don't need it.
To learn more about e-cigarettes, go to thetruth.com.
According to the Mayo Clinic, exercising has stress-busting benefits by bumping up your endorphins and improving your mood.
There's plenty of LaSalle sports action this upcoming week, so let us welcome Josh Abrams for this week's Explorer Report.
Thanks, Dana. For this week's Explorer Report, our LaSalle men's basketball team makes the small trek down to the Palestra at UPenn to take on Villanova, Big Five rival. They are, let's see, the game's taking place on December 1st at 3 p.m. LaSalle is still looking for that first win of the young season, as their record sits at 0-7 after their most recent loss to Grand Canyon. Meanwhile, Villanova is sitting at 5-2. They boast that record after taking the win against Florida State in the Advocare Invitational Tournament. They snuck back into the top 25 with that win. And let's talk about LaSalle. So Pookie Powell and Isaiah Dees, they are going to play huge roles in this game, as they lead the team in scoring with 18 and 13 points per game respectively. Down low, look for Miles Brookins to try and hold his ground against the Nova big man Damir Cosby-Roundtree. For Villanova, an eye must always be kept on Phil Booth and Eric Paschal, who are 2 experienced veterans that have been there and seen it all for Jay Wright. Booth averages nearly 17 points per game on the season, while Paschal tallies 14 points per game.
Thank you,
Josh.
No problem.
Very insightful. All right.
So the first thing we got to talk about is how big of a game this could be for LaSalle. We haven't won a game yet.
No.
I don't think anybody expects us to win coming into this game, but it's an opportunity to show something there in terms of fight.
Well, yeah, okay, so we're fans, we're students, we're allowed to have the expectation that we're not going to win this game. Like,
Right.
it's just plain and simple. Nova's ranked at this point. Jay Wright's a great coach. Booth and Paschal and Cosby Roundtree, Colin Gillespie. Nova has a lot of guys that have been there for a while. They have won at least one championship, and it's not looking very favorable. It's obvious that LaSalle is a huge underdog in this game.
Yeah, you're talking about Phil Booth and Eric Paschal. It feels like Phil Booth has been there for like 17 years. But Paschal is a really big-time presence down low. You talked about how we need Miles Brookins and Kimbrough to step up. I think that matchup could be something to look at this week.
Yeah.
I've been very impressed with Miles Brookins and Jared Kimbrough this year, watching them play. Going up against a guy like Paschal, they have a big test, but I think that they can actually handle it a little bit.
Go ahead, Dan.
I was just going to say, I kind of agree, and solely for the fact that, these past couple years, we do play up to Villanova.
We do.
Even when they were,
And they were winning their national championship.
This Nova team wasn't as good as the past couple of years, and we
Exactly.
still hung tough with them, so let's hope that they can
I
keep
kind
it
of
going.
feel, I don't know, I kind of have a good feeling, not totally, but we'll
Right.
figure that out when we go to picks, so, Tegan?
Like we said, I don't feel terribly awful about this game. We got crushed by Miami. I don't think we'll get as badly beaten by Villanova. I've got us at 92-80, Villanova winning.
Yeah, I've tried to be a lot more optimistic about this, but unfortunately I still went with Villanova 85-78. But you know what, as I talk about it, I'm kind of getting more optimistic.
Yeah.
You have to. What else? You got nothing to lose.
Seriously.
Well, they do.
I'm rolling with Nova as well. If you remember the game at the Palestra 2 years ago, it was really back and forth until
Yeah.
Nova pulled away and won by 10-12. So I think it's going to finish the same way. 75-64 is the final score that I have.
agree. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Josh.
Josh.
That just about wraps it up for us this week. If you can't make it out to see the Explorer Report, be sure to tune in next week for our coverage. Keep up with this weekend's other sporting events by visiting goexplorers.com or check out this week's edition of the Collegian.
Also, check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/LaSalleTV and on Twitter at SportsLineLTV. We welcome you to send us your thoughts and suggestions there.
For Josh, Isaiah, Steven, and our SportsLine team, I'm Tina Score.
And I'm always complaining, Tegan Lamont. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you at the game.